In today's Sharp Saturday video, we're going to take a look at what I think is a cool knife from Condor Tool & Knife. This one's designed by Joe Flowers. It's the Condor Trog. That's what's coming up next here on Survival on Purpose. Welcome back to Survival on Purpose. My name's Brian. Thanks for joining me for today's Sharp Saturday video, where it's Saturday and we take a look at something sharp. Like I said, today that something sharp is this Condor Tool & Knife's Trog, designed by Joe Flowers. Very similar, at least a similar handle to the pterosaur we've looked at before here. And whenever I think of the name Trog, it makes me think of Todd Snyder. If you're a Todd Snyder fan, you'll get that. So anyway, we're going to take a look at this in just a minute. But first, as usual, today's words of wisdom from the Bible. And I just picked these out because they just jumped off the page at me. This is from Proverbs 15, verse 1 in the New Living Translation. I think these are good words to live by. A gentle answer deflects anger, but harsh words make tempers flare. And of course, a big thank you to my friends at XS Sights for making these videos possible. XX sights are the fastest sights in any light, and they're the only sights that I trust on any pistol that I carry to protect myself and my family, including this Ruger RXM that I'm carrying right now. To be fair, I was an XS Sights customer literally years before they became a channel sponsor. So they're exactly the kind of company I like to have as a sponsor, because I actually use them and I trust my life to them. XS Sights are made in the USA, in Texas. They're just made by a bunch of good people. They are literally, again, the fastest sight in any light. And if you go to their website and you see somewhere on there where you might think it's a good idea to put in some sort of a code, if you type in SOP15, you'll be glad you did. That's XS Sights. Thanks to them for sponsoring today's video. Now, let's get down to the old stump top, talk about the specs of this thing, and get to doing some of that there knife stuff. You want to? Okay, so here is the Condor Trog. And this thing features a 4.2 inch long by 0.12 inch thick blade of 1095 high carbon steel. For those of you still stuck in that old metric system, that's 106.7 millimeters long by 3 millimeters thick. It has a really neat looking forged flint texture with a Scandi grind. I like that. The overall length of this thing is 9.05 inches or 229.8 millimeters. It is a full tang with an exposed kind of groove, notched, whatever jimping looks like on the exposed pommel. It's a pretty lightweight knife at 7.06 ounces or 200 grams. The handle is a high impact polypropylene, which is overmolded over the full tang. It's got a really, really comfortable grip to it. It just fits really well. I wear a medium-sized gloves, and you can see how big it is in my hand. So it's big enough for a larger hand or a smaller hand. And it features a high-impact polypropylene sheath with a leather belt loop. And this belt loop actually, I think it does. Let's see. It'll come off here if you want to do this. Just stick it in some molly or something. So there's that. And then one thing I really like about it is it snaps in pretty well. It's all friction, but you got to really want to take it out. So that's it. The street price on this thing is about 48 bucks everywhere I could find it. Alrighty, so if you've seen many of my Sharp Saturday videos, you may know that I pretty much try to maintain a standardized testing process for every fixed blade knife, and really maintain pretty much universally recognized scientific protocols. And one of the things I like to test is the sharpness using the pretty much internationally recognized standardized sharpness test, the Redneck Sharp Test. Let's get the testing medium in frame here, and we'll just see what happens. Would you just look at all that har there? We're gonna say this one passed. Now, I know somebody wants to see the paper cutting test, so we'll try that, although it's got a little humidity on it, so it may not work too well, but let's just see. But yeah, the paper's already gotten a little humid out here, but well, we'll call it good. Man, these mosquitoes are eating me alive. So if I'm talking fast, it's because I'm trying to get out of here. But anyway, so standard protocol. Got a piece of wood like you might find laying in the woods, already split out for you, nice square ends on it. But we're gonna see if we can get down to the center of this, just in case you need to baton some wood for some reason, whether it's to get to the center, to make a fire, help you get to some dry wood, or just to create something for a crafts, or to make tent pegs or anything else that you don't really want to use a hatchet for. Maybe you don't have a hatchet, or if you do, sometimes this to me is a little more controlled and feels a little safer. But we're going to do that anyway. I don't care. Some people are going to complain about it. I can't. One of my biggest videos ever was about batoning knives, and it's amazing how people still want to argue about it. So anyway, here we go. I've got my small baton out. Let's just see what happens. And again, this has got almost a 5-inch blade, not quite. So it's not. You're not talking about building a log cabin here. We're talking about just getting into splitting a little wood, processing a little wood for a campfire, for kindling or something like that. So I'm going to take this piece here and see if we can do the next thing. We're going to carve some curls or feathers. By the way, I had a comment the other day. I forget even what I deleted it, so I don't know, because I've decided to not respond to comments like that. But pretty much telling me I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I was bleepity bleepity bleepy, not worth a bleepity bleep at making feather sticks, and bleepity bleep bleep, nothing about survival skills. So I've said it before, I'll say it again. Yeah, I am. I'm just a wannabe. I want to be better. So let's see. Anyway, I'm digressing. Let me go ahead and get busy with it. Let's see how well this thing carves some of those curls. And it should do okay, because this is Scandi grinds. Scandi grinds are really pretty good at carving. Well, I broke that one off. Let's try this piece. I think maybe what the guy was talking about, or the person, maybe it was a guy, it didn't sound like a bot. It was too creative to be a bot, but was the fact that I don't make these sticks where these curls, when they all stay on there. And not that I couldn't do that if I really, really tried, but man, it would take a lot of time on video to do that, just to be trying to show off. And the reality is, this works. I've never, ever, 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 that I can remember in my entire life. I was a Scoutmaster for 20 years. I was a Boy Scout before that. Been playing in the woods for all my life, literally most of my life, and I'm older than I care to think about sometimes. And I've never failed to get a fire started if I needed to start a fire, ever, not once. So I might have had to endeavor to persevere a few times, but I've always managed to persevere. See if we can get some. Okay, we got some pretty good curls there. I'm going to see if I can get some really, really small, tiny curls. Maybe if I turn this thing around, if I can catch the on the upslope, so to speak. See if I can get some real small ones to really get this thing going. And to be fair, it pretty much, if you use a lot of different knives, like I do, testing knives and whatnot, you got different edges. You have to get used to each edge a little differently. And to be fair, this is the first time I've used this knife. I took it right out of the pack. It's not like I've used this thing for months and months and given you a long-term review. This is kind of like just the best I can show you what you might want to see if you were interested in buying this knife off the old internet, because that's what I try to do when I do reviews, is to show you what I would want to see if I wasn't able to hold it in my hand and look at it and make a purchasing decision. So they're pretty good little curls there, I think. Almost Shirley Temple curls. We'll put those aside. Now, you know me. If there happens to be some fat wood around, and if I'm around in the woods, there's probably going to be some fat wood if it's only just with me. You know I love me some fat wood, so this one's been pretty long-lasting. Actually, this has been in storage out here, pretty much on the ground, for about 11 or 12 years, maybe. Gosh, at least 10 years, probably 12. And it started out to be a bigger piece, and it's winding its way down, but it's not been stored inside or anything else. So that's kind of what I like about fat wood. So we'll take and carve off a couple curls off of it just to see how well it carves, because fat wood carves differently than regular wood. The resin in it gives it a different consistency when you're carving. Carve that oxidized part off. It'll burn too. And I'm honestly trying to keep all this nastiness, ant beds and dirt off of my shirt and off of my body, so I'm holding it out here like this. It's not. But so what I really want to try, what I like to check out, is how well the spine will scrape, because I like to be able to scrape a fat wood or a ferro rod or something with the spine. This one doesn't feel sharp, to be honest with you, but let's just see if it'll scrape with the blip. And it really doesn't scrape so well, to be honest with you. And it's scraping a little bit, but not really. So the next thing, there's a little bit of a ricasso here between the handle finger guard and the sharp part. We'll see if that'll scrape right there. I think it will. It's just so small, it's gonna be hard to keep it off the blade itself. But so we're gonna call that done. So it is what it is. In an emergency, in a pinch, you can certainly scrape with part of the blade. It's gonna dull it a little bit, but if you don't scrape, rocks with it, it's probably gonna be okay. But we're gonna give this one a shot, as is. And you get the old, my second favorite ferro rod, my Exotac Fire Rod XL. And if you're wondering, my first favorite ferro rod comes with a little butane cylinder on it. I always try to have one of these with me. So just in case, I've got it with me today. So let's see if we can maybe make a spark from this thing. And this is a really good ferrocerium rod too. So we just don't have a very sharp edge here. I'm gonna try the ricasso, see if I can keep it off the blade. Yep, and it works. And it doesn't look, it looks like I might have got the blade a little bit. Okay, so see right down in the ricasso, not at the very edge of the blade, where it starts, where the edge starts. It might have a little discoloration from the ferrocerium rod, but man, that is a really, really even grind. So I was hoping this might discourage the mosquitoes, but we're going to endeavor to persevere and continue with the scientific process here at Survival on Purpose. Chuck Norris can blow bubbles with beef jerky. Okay, well, as we've already said, here at Survival on Purpose, we're all about the science, which is why we maintain such a state-of-the-art, cutting-edge testing facility here at our worldwide headquarters. And one of the tests I like to do on all fixed blade knives is to test the aerodynamic balance using the balance, orientation, and rotation device there. So I think we would be remiss if we didn't try that on this one. It's a pretty lightweight knife, kind of small, so not my optimal selection for testing, but we give it a shot. And as always, proper scientific methodology is very important. Whoop, 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 whoop. Whoop, whoop. Again, whoop. I pretty much have to do that at least once every testing process. Yep. Just to kind of test the durability. Let's do this. Whoop, 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 whoop. We're going to call that balanced. Oh, I remember what the other thing that guy said in the comment about my skills was I don't throw knives worth of beep, beep, beep. So anyway, like I said, we're going to call this one balanced. And I got to say, as far as the scientific process goes, this thing did really, really well. Absolutely redneck sharp, yak shaving sharp. Good job on the carving the feathers and all that. The one possible ding is there's no sharp spine on back, which is not unusual. Most knives didn't have that for a long time. That's kind of a bushcraft thing that started out, I think, back in when Dave Canterbury was really getting very popular, I think. But you can certainly take a little file here and just buff that edge out, straighten that edge out a little bit, and you have it's 1095, so it is hard enough to strike. But really handy little size, feels good in my hand, super lightweight, very well made, and it looks cool in my opinion. That's the Condor Trog with a nod to Todd Snyder. And I hope this video has been helpful, somewhat interesting, and maybe even a little bit informative. I really sincerely appreciate you watching Survival on Purpose. Remember, survival's not an accident, so be prepared. I'll see you next time.